Hey everyone, welcome to Future Flex. I'm Marlia Chofor, your host, and today we're going to take a look at how your passion could lead to a career. Now, you may be in year 10 and have already learnt a little bit about the VCE Vocational Major, or maybe you think you might take the VCE pathway. Either way, if you're interested in a career in community service, you're going to want to listen to what my guests, Ben McIntosh and Mathew McIntyre, have to say. Hey guys, welcome to Future Flex.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining me. So I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about this really cool thing called the VCE Vocational Major. So basically you get to do classroom subjects as well as get the opportunity to do some practical experience in vocational industry. It's really cool.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And as well as that, you also get to start working towards getting a vet certificate, which is also really cool.
Definitely sounds like a pathway into your career of choice.
Ben, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, I am in the incredible, fulfilling role as a disability support worker. And as a disability support worker, I help people with disabilities live their best lives.
I work as an executive in one of Australia's largest NDIS providers. And I'm very lucky to be able to provide the full supports in an individual's life, you know, whether that's in their home and living space or in employment.
Awesome. That's incredible work that you guys do. I'd love to take it back and ask, what was high school like for you guys?
I think the valuable thing about high school is fostering your different relationships, and those are great skills. But, you know, I did my traditional subjects. I was playing footy as well. Really enjoyed balancing those friendships because, you know, different people provide different things to your life. So that's like sort of what my school life was like. Just I don't want to say going through the motions, but I definitely was.
There's a little bit of that with me as well. School was great when I reflect on it. I was brought up in a regional community in a small town, and you had two choices. It was either sport or school, and I was fortunate I got to dabble in both. But I think, you know, looking back on school, it's probably a space where I didn't, you know, I have some regret. I didn't apply myself to where I could have.
And going through the motions.
Yeah, I definitely was going through the motions.
Same.
Yeah, very similar to Ben. And I think for that, you know, that is a bit of a regret.
That actually leads me into my next question, because I would love to know about what subjects you did in high school.
One of the things that I did benefit from was actually drama at school. I certainly lacked in some of that confidence around communication, really having, you know, off-the-cuff conversations with people in different settings. And I found that gave me a really good experience and foundation for the work that I do now. When I think back on it, you know, some of that public speaking development really has helped me do the role I do now.
Like I said, just going through the motions sort of thing. I think if I had access to what you described before, the VCE Vocational Major, I think I would have really wanted to utilize that, because it just would have been able to give me like dip my toe into the career that I'm currently in, and I would have been able to, you know, get into it much earlier than I found myself in. And I think having that experience and being able to do it as like a part of my schooling would have just been so beneficial, because that's the best way to sort of prepare yourself for the career that we're in, is by getting that hands-on experience. Because I won't lie to you, it's not for everyone. Like, you really have to have certain characteristics to be able to thrive and do the role, I think. So, yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. And it was also really interesting that you brought up that practical experience, because that's really an amazing part of the VCE Vocational Major, that you also get that practical experience as well as classroom time.
I really wish that was available when I was in school, because I just think that's, like, I didn't get into my role that I'm in now until I was like 25 or something. And I just think if I had been able to go to the front foot at such a young age, it would just set me up so much better for than what I was, really.
I'd love to know, is there a skill or a superpower that you need to succeed in your career?
For me, in terms of doing the actual job, like just carrying it out, I think patience is extremely important, because there are, there's a lot of love that these people with disabilities have in their life, and their parents, siblings, whoever it may be, might think that they're helping them when they're just taking over a task and doing it for them. But it's not really giving them the opportunity to grow and develop those skills like they should.
Yeah, I think the superpowers conversation is a really interesting one, because I think our sector is filled with people with a raft of superpowers. But there's two particular superpowers that stand out kindness is one. I think to work in this space, you've generally got to have kindness. You've got to really remove judgment, bias. You're confronted with really difficult and challenging circumstances on a daily basis. And I think
You can be. It's not all the time.
No, not all the time. But you can. And I think that expands itself across the sector. And I think for that level of resilience of being able to roll your sleeves up and navigate those challenges as they arise is a real strength and a real superpower in our sector.
And I think that's important as well, because there are some things that I wouldn't have considered that I'd be doing in my role until I did them. And I love that as well, because it's given me an opportunity to grow. And that's like, I never thought that would be something that would happen to me, because I'm out here trying to promote the growth in other people, but they've helped me grow as a person as well. And I really love, it's like a mutually beneficial relationship, because I'm getting so much out of it myself. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Now that we've talked a bit about school, I want to know about the transition from after school and whatever you did afterwards, how you got into your career, and was it challenging?
My journey is a bit unconventional, I won't lie. I finished high school, I was set to study at uni, deferred, and then went to college in the US and played sport over there, which ultimately led to nothing. I tore my ACL, moved back to Australia, and then almost fell into my role as a support worker. I grown up with a sibling with a disability, Grace, lovely girl, shout out to her, and she was doing swimming with a bunch of her peers, and one of her friends needed a support worker to take him to basketball, which I did, and I just haven't looked back, because growing up with a sibling with a disability, you sort of gain all those skills. So I look at how I started. I just couldn't imagine, if you were interested in the field, just being thrust into it without any kind of practical training, and I love my job, and I want other people to experience how happy I feel when I'm performing at my job. So knowing that like the VCE Vocational Major is there for people to be able to dip their toe in and experience what it's like to be in the field, I think it's incredible. I wish it was available when we were in school.
Yeah, I think my transition into where the sector I am now was quite unique, to be honest. I was surrounded with the community service sector. My mum, is a leader in that space, and I'd been surrounded by it from a young age. So I definitely had a connection and an exposure to that space from a young age. I think transitioning was a real step of, it took a bit of courage, to be honest, because I was going into a space where I was uncomfortable, of a space which I didn't really understand. And I grabbed an opportunity and I hadn't looked back. So, really, that's how it happened.
That's amazing. I've got one last question for you both. Yeah. Just a bit of a fun one. Take a look around at this beautiful room. Pick your favourite item and tell me why you might be connected to it.
Honestly, I mean, the globe sticks out to me because I love to travel. I think that's a great way you can learn a lot about yourself by putting yourself in a situation that you probably wouldn't put yourself in. So when I moved from the sunny Gold Coast to the middle of Texas in a small country town, I was tested. And it was a fantastic way for me to challenge myself. And that's why I feel connected to that globe.
I think for me, the phone, although an old school phone, definitely can relate. I find myself spending almost all of my life on a phone, whether it's emails, talking, texting, communicating, is all through phone. So I think for me, that's the greatest
See, this alignment. Is so I don't even know it's a phone. Is that a phone?
That is a phone. Believe it or not. Yes, that is a phone.
Well, thank you so much, the both of you, for joining me today. It's been lovely to get to know you both.
Thank you. It's been great. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Future Flex. If you want to follow your passion and learn more, search VCE VM.